Okay, so this is Denny. Mic check. Let's see if you can hear me okay. Let's see. Okay. Hey, James. Let's see. Or Matt. Let's see. Let me bring you in. Hey, Vincent. Hey, Tanya. Hey, Kyle. Okay. Let's see. Hey, James. Hey, Matt. Can you hop on? Perfect. Awesome. Okay, let's see. I'm adding you. I think you're connecting.
You see me, bro?
Hey, yes. Hold on one second. Let me see.
All right, there's two of us here today.
Are you still there, Matt? You hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Hello?
Awesome.
Hey, what's up, brother?
Hey, hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, I want to take a moment to spend a few minutes. I know that we chatted quite a bit yesterday in
Yes, sir.
regards to how this whole mental health struggles and also suicide has impacted your life. And I know you also have another buddy with you. Is that correct? Do you want to introduce yourself a little bit and also introduce your friend?
Yes. Good.
My name's Rick. How you doing?
Good, thank you. And you say it's Mike?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you say
Yeah,
it's
my name's
Mike?
Rick.
Oh,
Rick.
Rick. Got it.
Yes.
Okay,
And
perfect.
I'm James Richmond. I
Perfect.
uh I was in the Air Force. I did 12 years.
I was Navy 6 years.
Thank you for your service.
No,
Yeah, you're
thank you
good.
for yours, bro.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah. So, by the way, can you close the blind behind you? I think that's
Yeah,
make your
I
Yeah,
just
video
that's
really.
what we're trying to do. There you go.
there we go.
Okay,
All
perfect.
right, can you see us now?
There we go.
All right.
Yes, that's perfect. Okay.
All
So
right.
the reason why we are hopping on Facebook Live here is as I continue to write from coast to coast, I realize that as I raise awareness, there are just a lot of people that has been impacted by mental health struggles and also suicide. And it's heartbreaking
Absolutely,
to
man.
hear
It's an everyday thing.
how many people it impacts. So I want to kind of hop on the call with you so you can share a little bit in terms of how has it impacted you in terms of
Okay.
personal struggle and also seeing the people around you. Yeah, can you share a little bit of that, Matt?
Well, unfortunately, I saw, some extreme combat. Um, I won't get into like the intense details, but it affected me a lot. I mean, when I came home, I was not the same. I stopped talking. I started isolating myself. Uh, I kind of put myself into a shell, I guess you could say. Um, what really got me, I guess, was
So,
seeing some of the things that we saw. Say that again.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're right. Basically, it affected me in a way that completely changed my life. It got to a point where I got so low that I wrote letters to my family because I was ready to go. I mean, I, I don't like to admit this, but I'm going to. I put a gun in my mouth and I wanted to take my life, and it was the hardest thing I've ever had. Luckily, I had an officer that saw me, go up into the field that I went into. He walked up to the car and talked me down. asked me if he could take me somewhere. He took me to the VA in Chillicothe, Ohio. They had a psychiatric unit, and I spent 16 days there. Then I had a program that they have downstairs from the building that deals with PTSD. So they kind of started giving me a little bit coping skills, coping mechanisms, things like that to deal with the stress that I'm going through. Unfortunately, it worked to an extent. I really believe that PTSD has affected me so much that I don't think it'll ever change. I'll always have that depression and sadness. However, I've taken a lot of steps to better that. I started being more artistic. I started being, like walking more, trying to take my time and I guess, utilize my time in a manner which was good for me. And I'm starting to heal, slowly. It's not easy. This is something that I struggle with every single day. But at the same time, I really believe kind of like what you're doing, brother, riding your bike, man, all the way across the country. I can't wait. I cannot wait to join you. I mean, I'm going to finish with you 100% from Ohio to Boston. I mean, I will be there with you because I don't want you to ride alone. And I really think that, you riding is inspiring to me to help me heal. And I think if I jump on a bike with you, brother, man, it's going to be awesome.
Got it. And you mentioned that when you came back, that you went into a shell. Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
What made you feel that, what put you in that shell, if that's the right question to ask?
Watching my friends die, truthfully. Watching one of, a kid that I went to basic training with, we went all the way to, you know, training together. We went to tech school together. We went on our first two deployments together. I mean, this kid was my best friend. I knew everything about him. And then he got shot. And when I saw that, it was like somebody in my family being taken away. It hurt so much that I still to this day cry about it. It's just one of those that I'll take with me forever. And also, when we were in Afghanistan, taking someone's life, man, it's not the experience that people need. And it's really hard if you've never been part of that. So I feel like that truthfully was what put me in my shell, is actually seeing what I saw. I mean, not a it was not an easy thing to see, for sure.
And is it okay for me to ask about what you share with me about your deployment, the people that you have lost, and the number of people that you have lost in your units?
We had 4 one day, we had 9 the next day, and 7 the following day after that. And truthfully, that's the hardest thing to come back from. Like coming home and being only 4 or 5 of us, making it back. It's the most morbid feeling I've ever had. Just being in that aircraft and coming back and just looking at the coffins, man. Like that it's surreal. It's something that you'll never, any normal civilian, I don't think, could understand the heartbreak of that. And I don't think a lot of guys that are in the service, understand that loss like that, the intensity of the loss was like that. But then you go around to the VAs and talk to other people, and so many people are, have the same story, that they lost multiple people. I mean, in Afghanistan between 2009 and 2011, we lost more people during those 2 years than most of the entire war.
Yeah,
And that, it's, to me, it's just one of those things that I don't think I'll ever get over.
yeah. I hear you. And even though I serve, I have never lose people like that. And just for me to hearing it, it's getting me a little bit emotional. And I cannot imagine what it feels like for you to be this one of the 5 survivors coming back, what that must feel like. I mean, I cannot imagine.
I mean, it's something I don't really talk about a lot. It's not something that's publicized.
Sure.
It's just one of the things that when we were down there, we had to do what we had to do, and unfortunately, some of
Sure.
the guys just didn't make it. And I beat myself up every day because I'm here and they're not. And that's probably one of the biggest heartbreaks for any troop. Anybody that understands a loss of even one person. Um, it's just it's difficult. It's very difficult.
I hear you. Yeah. And so I'll be honest with you, I'm really grateful to see that you are on the call with me, that you have reached out to people, right? That during your
Mhm.
struggles, you had the opportunity and you took, it takes a lot of courage and bravery, would you say, to
To
ask
ask
for
for
help?
help. Yep, I 100% agree. That's the hardest thing in the world. But once you get to that point, there are a lot of people out there that care. But at the same time, some people, we come back and we talk to these people, and it's like, I can you understand, as a civilian, what we've been through? And you kind of shut down because those people don't understand. Those people can't sit here and say, I know what it's like to have PTSD. I know what it's like to watch somebody die. I mean, in the civilian world, I truly believe it's a different type of struggle. If you see somebody die in a car accident, or if you see somebody die naturally, like family members, stuff like that, um, obviously it's hard. But when you're in a combat zone, it's different. I can't really explain in words. More like, this conversation is emotional. Like it's more emotion than anything. And I don't know. It's really hard for a lot of people to understand what we've been through and where we've come from. So,
Sure. Yeah. And that's okay. And I think the goal really is to allow ourselves to have the opportunity to feel like we don't have to be so bottled up,
right,
right? That we
right,
have some kind of outlet, whatever that look like. If there's people that we can talk to that they get it, great. If it's not that, if it's through painting, if it's through
right. I
walking,
mean,
if it's
I mean, truthfully, like art and all that stuff, it really helps. It does. I mean, it's one of those things that if you can express yourself, whether it be anger or whatever, I mean, paint something that, just paint your emotions, put it out there. I mean, truthfully, just the relaxation of the brush on a pad, it helps. It's one of those things that it's, to me, art and expression and going outdoors and getting away from technology and putting the computer down and the phone down and actually walking and, you know, doing stuff that gets your brain moving, gets you feeling, get the endorphins running, that's why I think riding a bike, man, it's really helped, because for you probably, because I mean, one, you're getting healthy, you're really, I guess, pushing yourself out there, I guess. And that's awesome, man. And like I said, as soon as you get this way, I'm joining you, for the remainder of this trip.
I agree. And I think there are a lot of coping mechanism out there that people
Right,
seek, right? And there are some that are healthier than others. There are some people, I remember when I was working at volunteering animal shelter, I remember hearing people talking about how stressful it is having to see all the abused animals, neglected
right.
animals, putting
Yes,
animal down, euthanasia. And it's really painful. While it's not the same as losing people over in combat,
right,
but for a lot of people, it's real pain. And
right,
we have hear stories about how people using drugs and alcohol to really numb that and to cope. And the
right.
truth is, it might be a temporary fix,
You're just
but it's
hiding.
not,
You're hiding from
it's,
it.
you're right. It's not sustainable long term and eventually becoming bigger problem. And I'm glad to see that, we're talking about finding healthier alternative to cope,
Right,
right?
right,
Whether if it's through cycling, whether if it's through walking, exercising, or just paint, right?
right,
These are all great things that it's it's an opportunity, an outlet for us to just express that anger out or whatever it might be,
right.
right? And
Yes.
sometimes those pressure and stress needs to come out somewhere because it's like a volcano. A lot of stress and pressure are being built up. Eventually, it's going to erupt, right?
Right,
And it's good that it's coming out of these outlets versus one day we just had enough and just explode and at the expense of a life. Would you
And
say it's
unfortunately,
definitely not worth it?
that's what a lot of people do. You know, they bottle it up to a point where there's, you know, small things like whether the dishwasher won't turn on, or the laundry's still wet or something like that, you know, and you blow up. You know, you get to a point where you're like, "Ugh, you know, I don't want to do this anymore." And I feel like a lot of people get to that point because they're afraid to ask for help. They're afraid to really reach out. And my goal with you is to help people actually understand that reaching out is okay. Asking for help it takes a lot. It takes a lot from you. You know, it takes a lot for you to ask, but it also has to be the right person. You know, if you can talk to, you know, a psychologist or something like that, sometimes it's hard because, you know, there's civilians. So you can't really express everything that you've been through. But at the same time, if you don't express, you're still bottling up. You're still hiding it. And PTSD it's not going to be cured. It'll never go away. You know, depression and anxiety can be, you know, maintained, but I don't think medication is the answer. I really don't. I feel bad for all the people that they're throwing pills at, you know, to, oh, well, we'll just up your medication to get you to feel better. And that's not, you know, I don't think that that's really a good way to do it. You know, I think conversations, I think actions, I think, you know, actual physical, what is the word I'm looking for? I guess, you know, entering yourself into your own care, you know, when like you're being more active in your own health and your own, you know, mindset. And truthfully, I feel like I'm to that point. You know, I've been to a place called Fort Thomas. It's in Kentucky. It's a PTSD program that's 8 weeks long. I went there after my attempt to suicide, and truthfully, they helped me out. You know, I had a counselor named Brianna. She was really nice. She was a younger girl, but she understood a lot, and she really helped me bring out the heartbreak, the hurt. You know, writing it down. You know, actually looking at what is bothering me. You know, what is actually sitting there, and I started journaling, and now. I mean, I still do. You know, when I get stressed out or something like that, I write it down. That way, I can physically see my problem, and it's helped. And I think if a lot of people really took that approach, we'd have a lot more people that kind of, you know, get out of this and help themselves, I guess. And that's kind of what we
For
need. We
sure.
need everybody to be able to say, you know what, I need help. I need help. And truthfully, I think you should just ask for it. And if not, hit me up. You know, I'll talk to you. Or you know, I know people that, you know, other guys that I've served with that they'll sit there and talk to you too. So
For sure. And you mentioned to me about something that she did for you to really help you
mm,
kind of kept things into perspective, right? When you were suicidal, when you don't want to live anymore, that she brought up something that was really important to you. Is that correct?
yes, she basically made me address the issues of why I'm so upset. And when I wrote them down and you physically looking at it, it really puts things into a perspective because some of that stuff, is it really worth being upset over? You know, is it really worth being stressed out? You know, watching one of my friends die and having, you know, that mindset, that mentality that, you know, I shouldn't be here. I should not be here because he's not. You know, I take it to myself. I pulled it into myself. I made it about me, and it wasn't. You know, and that's the hard part to really sit there and think about. You know, he knew what he was doing the day he signed that paper. We all had the same risk. We all knew what we were doing when we put that uniform on and went out. So I can't personally hold that in anymore because that's actually disrespectful to him because he knew exactly what he was doing. Yes, he was my best friend, but at the same time, would he want me to stand here and take that every day? You know, take his death personal. It's my fault. You know, like I really took that mentality. I said, you know, this, I should have done this better. I should have walked this way instead of that way. I should have, you know, fired a couple rounds before, you know, just to scare him off. You know, trying to do something. I literally racked my brain with every single, you know, expectation of what I should have or could have or whatever done. And at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with me. It had absolutely nothing to do with me. He knew what he was doing. He had the risk, and he unfortunately paid that price. He wrote that check to his life, and to be upset and to take that every day is just, in my opinion, it's disrespectful to him. It takes away from what he was doing.
Yeah. And what would you say is the best way to really honor him, right? Because that's really what we're talking about. That how can
I
we
mean,
honor
sure.
those people that we have lost?
Oh, keep going, keep going. Sorry.
No, I said, what is the best way that we can honor those people? Because you mentioned, right, the way that we doubt the outcome of it, or second guessing it, or think that there is other things that we could have done. It's a it's disrespectful of what they choose to do, right? They signed that paper,
Right.
they're willing to die. They're willing, they know what they're
I mean,
doing, right?
we
That
all,
is the best
we all
way.
signed that paper. We all swore in. We all sat there and took that opportunity. And what's great about it, and what's, really interesting to get, I guess, to respect him, is to live my life, to do exactly what I should be doing, being a parent, being, taking care of myself, taking care of my friends, being
Yes,
who I am, like not stopping life because he's gone. I mean, I'm pretty sure that he would feel the same way. He would probably say, you know what, don't cry about it. This is, I knew what I was doing, and I died for a reason. And
sure,
the fact that he was a volunteer makes it even more powerful. Um,
absolutely,
all of us signed on the dotted line. We're the first generation where we all volunteered. I mean, if you think
right.
about it, we've been in a 17-year war of volunteers. The children who were first, second, and third grade are now 18 and 19 years old signing up to go. And that's, it's intense. I mean, we don't know anything, but at the same time, if you volunteer, you knew exactly what you were going to get into. And truthfully, like I was okay with it. I mean, I went out there. I said, as long as we just do what we got to do, if we make it home, we make it home. And like you said, to honor these people, the best thing to do is just be yourself, be who you are. Watch football, go out with your friends, and enjoy the life that you were given, because we only have one. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're all going to die eventually, but I don't want to die
I
with the
hear
hurt
you.
and the pain of something that had nothing to do with
Right. And you, I think it was really powerful of what you said that truthfully was the best way to honor these people that we have lost, right? That if they were to look at us, what would they really want us to do is to live a fulfilling life, right? To
it. Yes,
inspire other people, to help other people, and
yes,
to live a life that they will never have that opportunity to live anymore. But there is no regret for them because they
no,
made that willful choice to do what they did, right? And so
right,
I think that was really powerful that you can come to that conclusion because that is a very challenging conclusion when we're in a dark place, right? When
right,
we're in a
right,
dark place, that all we think is, I could have done this, I could have done that, I should have done this, I should have done that. But the
right,
truth is that there is nothing else that we could have done any differently would have made any difference because yeah, we could have done something different, but there's no guarantee in anything, right? The
right.
outcome might still be the same. And so we're really
I
just
mean,
speculating.
that's what I kind of, what this counselor helped me realize is, it could have been any of us at any time, and that's the risk that we take. But at the same time, I am just truly disrespecting them by crying and being upset and beating myself up every single day for a death that, I guess, in a small way, is it was natural. You know what I'm saying? It's something that was going to happen. I can't stop it. I did what I had to do to get home, and I don't know. It's just it's so much easier now to understand where I'm at, like where my heart is. I finally forgave myself for, holding that in. I finally let that go, and I finally said, you know what, it's time to do something. And I actually sought out help. And like I said, that's the number one key right now, is I think people need to just put their hand out, and ask for help. And that's probably the best thing that you can do.
Sure. And I think that was really powerful what you said in regards to that, you know, forgiving yourself, because we start realizing that it's no longer about whatever is happening, right? Is that why are we so hard on ourselves? At the end of the day, do we not deserve the best in
To
our
be
life? Meaning, right, to live a fulfilled life. All of us, when we were born as a big little babies, right? Little babies,
right,
we're all
right,
born the same way, meaning that
right,
we were given a life that for us to live, right? And we have some
right,
choices to make.
right, right.
And it doesn't matter how life has evolved into, but we all have some choices to make. And sometimes those hard choices become really hard when we're in a bad place, in a
Yeah,
dark place,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And
And I totally believe that and agree with that.
yeah, and it's I hear you when you're talking about that. It's really disrespectful to cry and for them, but I mean, those feelings are real, right? And at the end of the day, those hurt that you experience is real to you, right?
Yeah,
And I mean, we shouldn't have to feel like we need to deny how we feel, but
right.
also we know we should not be controlled or shackled by those
Right.
feelings, right? It's okay to feel it, right? But we
Yes.
don't have to stop right there. I cry all the
It,
time.
right. I mean, I never did, I guess. And now,
Yeah,
I guess as an adult, it's become a little easier because I'm starting to understand the emotions that I'm going through. And
yeah,
you know, to be able to grasp that feeling, like, yes, you're absolutely right. You know, you have the right to cry. You have the right to be sad and feel for the people that, are, that are not here anymore. And yeah, it's good to cry sometimes, but to sit here and dwell on it, that's
sure,
the problem. and
absolutely.
and, and a lot of people do that. They revisit that same stress, that
Mm,
same anger, that same, and it's just a repetitive cycle. And the only
perfect.
thing that the VA tries to do is throw medicine at you and tell you to go home instead of really grasping what is wrong. And I think a lot of guys that are coming home now, like, even though the war is not as, I guess, big as it was. I'm not saying that it's not, but I think when we were, from, the early 2000s, when this first picked up, it was hard. And there was a lot of things people had to do that, yes, we didn't want to do it, but at the same time, I'm coming home, and then that's my goal. And I'm going to try to bring as many people home with me, and unfortunately, sometimes there's incidents that happen that, there's, I guess it's really hard to explain sometimes, but to be able to grasp those feelings and express them in a way that's not negative to you, that's not drugs or alcohol or hurting yourself, hurting someone else. We need to really be able to understand, okay, this person is hurt. This person is sad. How do we help them mourn? And that's
Right.
one of the biggest things I think nobody does is we don't mourn. We are taught to toughen that shit up, suck it up and go on. That's pretty much what everybody
Yeah.
tells us to do. Um, I don't know. It's just one of those things, I guess, that you got to understand and grasp, the feelings of all of this. I mean, combat is not easy. Combat is rough. It's hard on your body. It's hard on your mind. I mean, I got pictures of guys from our first deployment, that if you see photos from before and when we came home, you will see a transition of each person. You see them having a little bit of a gray hair, a little bit more stress wrinkles, a little more attitude or aggression or anger. And it's because we don't grasp our feelings. We don't sit here and talk about it. And a lot of, me personally, my thing is talking. I can talk to anybody in the world. I can talk all day, about anything. And when I finally took that opportunity to say, you know what, this is what's in my heart. This is what's hurting. I, one of my best friends is my wife, and she has helped me through so much. She understands that I have moments where I'm a little stressed out. Just leave me alone for a second. She gives me my space, gives me my time, and then talks to me, and comes and helps me. And I think having a good support system on top of being able to express your feelings helps. Even if it's talking to one of your old military buddies, whether it's talking to a stranger that was in the, it's a lot easier for vets to talk to vets. And to be able to express my feelings and what I've been through and what I've done to my wife was very hard. I told her the deepest, darkest secrets that I don't tell anybody. There's things I just won't talk about. It's just we've been through so much that I just I can't talk about it. At the same time, I've learned to deal with it. I've learned to move on from it. Yes, it's there. I'm holding on to it. I'm taking it with me every day, but I'm not thinking about it all the time, if that makes sense. I'm not sitting there going,
Absolutely.
like I said, going back to the, what could I have done? What could I have done better? What could I have done worse? Could I go right? Could I go left? I mean, there's just, I guess things happen for a reason, obviously. And, I'm here for a different purpose. And hopefully it's to help you, man. Like, I really hope that this ride will inspire so many people and get people to really understand that mental health is a big deal. And there are a lot of people with it, not just military, but civilians who go through car accidents, abusive relationships, alcohol, drugs. I mean, there's so much stress out there. I just wish people could talk about it, without feeling like, you're going to judge me. Truthfully, I think people need to grab that I don't care attitude, just like we had in the military. You know, I don't care what you think, but I'm going to tell you how I feel anyways. Even if you judge me and laugh at me, cry, whatever. I'm going to express it. I'm going to tell you, and I think that's a huge thing. And I hope a lot of people, as we move along in this process, as you get closer to me, hopefully we get more people, involved, more people to really, I guess, express how much mental health affects people. I mean,
Absolutely.
it has affected me to the point of, I can't work. I can't be in crowds for long periods of time. I mean, I'm working on these things, but at the same time, those feelings are still there. And I still have PTSD. I still have depression. I still have anxiety. I still, to be brutally honest, in my heart and in my mind, suicide is an option. It's not a good option, but people need to understand that some people just, they can't deal. And I think not talking about it, not being able to express your
Still there, Matt?
can you hear me?
Yeah, lost you for a little
Okay,
bit.
sorry.
Yes,
Sorry
yes.
about that.
That's
All
okay.
right.
It's okay.
I forget where I was saying.
No, you're talking about those feelings were still there.
Yes. Like you will never get rid of that stuff. We'll never be able to look past the hardships and stuff that truthfully we need to learn to callous that stuff. That way it's a scar on your body. It's a reminder, every day, that sorry, my phone's going crazy right
No,
now.
it's okay. Are you doing
You
okay on your connection?
yeah, it's a little kind of broken up. But as I
No
was saying,
problem.
like every single day, I take this with me. I take big scars. I take, being shot in the shoulder. That's a reminder every day of what I've been through. Now I'm to the point where I can express it. I can talk about it. I can really get you to understand who I am as a person and what I've been through because now I'm not afraid to reach out.
Sure. Absolutely. And I think you're spot on. All the things that we have experienced, we sometimes can think, oh, we wish we haven't done this, or we wish that we have not experienced that. But the truth is, everything that happened to us for us is what makes
Mhm.
us who we are today. Would you agree?
Yes. I
Right?
mean, it
Because
truthfully, like my military experience has hardened me. It's hardened me to a point where relationships got hard. It was hard for me to express, personal and sexual feelings truthfully because I was so shut down. I couldn't even function as a human being. And I've allowed myself, like I said, to reach out. And once I did, here I am. I'm standing here today and I'm talking to you. So
absolutely, and I'm grateful, right, with all these experiences that we have. While they're really, really painful, some are more painful than the others. Some
right.
are just god awful experiences, but without those experience, experiences, we won't be who we are today. And quite
Right.
honestly, we would never meet had you not had those experiences, right? And
Right.
the
Yeah.
possibility of you helping other people, have you not gone through the experience that you have gone through, you might
Right.
never be able to relate to those people who are struggling, that
Right.
what that feels like.
Right. Right. Rick's got something to add to that.
Yeah, Rick.
Here you go. All right.
How are you?
Hey, Rick.
Do you want my mental health resume? Um,
Go for it, buddy.
I've got diagnosed PTSD, major depression, anxiety, bipolar. Um, since I got out of the service, I've had 28 different jobs, lived in 35 different locations. I've on my third marriage. I've been to 2 drug and alcohol rehabs, inpatient, and I went for years. I had no idea what was really wrong with me. I just thought I was an idiot, you know, and I didn't know. When I came back, I was telling him earlier, the first 3 weeks I was back, I drank a fifth of liquor every single day, you know, and just, I wasn't even saying I was trying to cover something up. I was just doing it, you know what I mean? And I got diagnosed, and not to bash the VA all to death, but I was diagnosed in 2003, and they never even told me I was eligible for a lot of benefits and stuff until this past year. So I never, I was going to a counselor at the VA and all that, but no one was sending me to like the PTSD trauma center or any of that stuff. The reason I go through so many jobs is I'll go to job and I'll work a while and I'll do real good, but the stress of the job will get so intense, and like I'll dream about my job all night long. So I'll wake up in the morning, I'm exhausted because I felt like I've already worked all day. And then I go to work, and the stress of that is so much. I just quit and go somewhere else, and just start the whole process over again. Um, Now I'm to the point I can't work. Um, I try even like minor projects, and I can't get through those. I'll start off and I'll do pretty good, and within just a few days, I'm almost debilitated. I can't go. I can't even go to work. The stress of thought of even going to do something outside of my home or whatever is just too much. Um, like James, I went to the Fort Thomas PTSD Trauma Center.
He was my roommate.
We were roommates, and it was good. I mean, it was good, and it gave me a sort of a basis of what's wrong. It let me know that I wasn't just a screwed up person, that there was something wrong with me, and there was a reason for my behaviors and things like that. I
Right.
mean, I've been in jail a bunch of times. It's just been one thing after another. Um, Now, since Fort Thomas last winter, um, I still go to VA. I see a psychologist every 2 weeks. At the VA, I see a psychologist outside of the VA every 2 weeks. And I go to group therapy every week. I go to a psychiatrist about every month and a half. And I do 12-step programs 4 times a week. So I'm roughly in some kind of therapeutic environment about 8 hours a week.
Okay.
And that's enough just to maintain. Um, I deal with a lot of anger outbursts. It's like, I would just describe depression. I've tried to describe it to people. It's kind of like being down in a deep hole, and you can see people up above the hole walking around and talking and having a good time. And you're reaching up trying to just say, hey, can you get me out of this hole? And nobody can hear you. And it's just like everything's just barely out of reach. You can't get to it. I've heard another description that I thought was accurate. It's like, I'm going to go to work, but it's like someone covered you in this heavy metal suit that just makes it so heavy you feel like you just can't even lift your arms. You know, you're so tired and exhausted all the time. And that's what depression's like for me.
Sure.
So that's as good a description as I think I can give. Then you
Sure.
talk about anxiety. It's like anxiety for me is when something. It's like PTSD is like having a multiplier. It's when something affects a normal person in an angry way, a 1 or a 2. With me, it's like straight to a 10. You know, and for the normal person, they're angry for 15 minutes. I'm angry for 3-4 hours. You know, and then when I go on and the angry thing, I'm so high on that, and it exhausts me, and then I crash, and then I'm depressed for maybe days. And I've had 6 suicide attempts. And again, not to totally bash the VA, but I'm going to put it out there. One of my suicide attempts, I hung myself and injured my neck and back, and it's been a few years back, and I still have that. They're just now starting to look at it, and the VA doctor just looked at me when I told him what happened. He said, "Well, that was self-inflicted." And that was pretty much the end of our conversations. And that was the end of my assistance with that. You know, the VA's gotten a little better. They're starting to try to help me now. But for years there, it was horrible. It was horrible. It was traumatizing to walk into the facilities because you knew going in that you were going to have to fight for any kind of help that you were going to get. And
Yeah.
right, you know, it's like, okay, I got to go to war again just to get help for being at war.
Mm.
And
And
so
yeah, I hear
having
you.
friends like James, yeah, having friends like James, having other people uh, is that can relate to that. You know, I mean, that I'm an alcoholic too because of all this, and people don't understand alcoholism because they're like, well, you keep drinking and get in trouble. Won't you just quit drinking? I can't quit drinking. I'm an alcoholic. Well, that don't make any sense to normal people. And my behavior with PTSD makes no sense to normal people either. Why you get so damn angry at the guy at Kroger's because you rang up your flour wrong? You know what I mean? Why you have to
Yeah.
go blow up like that? Why you have to? I've blown up so bad. I've had managers of stores lock themselves in their office. You know, and I don't want to be that way. Let's tell my wife. You know, who would who would want to be like that? You know, why would anyone? No one would want to be like that. When you guys were talking about, oh, we all signed that paper. We all knew we had a chance. But when I was signing that paper, I didn't think this was going to happen. You know what I mean? I didn't think I was going to come home and be like this. Um,
You weren't
it,
hoping for it, right? I mean, you weren't looking for, oh, it's gonna be all jacked up, but I'm gonna sign up anyways, right? That wasn't.
yeah, I mean, well, I signed up because, you know, I was patriotic.
Yes.
Those things. But anybody who would sign that paper thinking I'm going to die has to be a little bit insane just to sign the paper.
Sure.
You know, I never signed that paper thinking, okay, I really got a good chance of dying, or I got a really good chance of seeing someone die, or I got a good chance of coming home and suffering from mental illness for the rest of my life. I never
Right.
thought about that stuff, right?
Sure.
It happens. You know, it's not on um, it isn't on the billboards. You know, we want you to have
Sure.
PTSD for the rest of your life.
Of course. And
But
we
I
wish
mean, we do. We
uh,
end up that way. I was watching a football game the other day, and they got all these new rules about the head injuries and stuff, the
okay.
collisions, and I'm watching the game, and this guy gets hit low, and I don't even remember what game it was. He gets hit low, and it takes out the guy's knee. Well, the announcer was complaining about the new head injury rule that it was starting to cause people to hit low, and it's like he's going to ruin these people's careers because of their knee injuries. And I thought that's exactly the way they look at us is if I come home with my leg missing, they can see that, you know, they can see that and they can understand it. But if you come home with a head injury inside with mental illness,
Yeah.
people can't see it. And then you just become this kind of outcast criminal, whatever, you know what I mean? Why don't
Yeah.
you just stop acting like that? And So I sort of thought it was similar in how I just could see the correlation, the head injuries and that people don't want to, much rather see them. They're much more
A
compassionate if
physical,
they,
a physical injury that they can
that
see,
makes
right?
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hear about something from Kevin Love from Cleveland
Yeah. Yeah. He
Cavalier,
just came out with a mental illness. Right.
right?
Go
He's
ahead.
the
I'm
new
sorry.
face of suicide awareness for NBA right now, and he shared
Right.
with the public about his anxiety, that what he experienced, and he's talking about exactly the same thing, that sometimes physical injury that we can see, we understand, but mental
Right.
illness that we cannot see and it's really hard for people to grasp. So
Right.
it's like you said, I mean, we did not sign up the paperwork so that we're looking forward to this jacked up life for the rest of our life. That wasn't what we
Right.
signed up for. Um, but however, sometimes it comes in the package, right? And
Absolutely.
so I think, would you, what would you say to those people that are struggling, at the end of the day, right?
Hmm.
There are other things that we could do to work on and to really kind of try to combat this whole mental health struggles. But what would you say to other people
I,
that are struggling if there's a couple things
for,
that you can encourage and support them?
for me, I went years knowing something was wrong, but a soldier doesn't admit that he has a problem. A man, even a man, just that wasn't in the military, you're sort of taught that you don't have those kind of problems. That's sort of a weakness, and the strength comes in asking for help. And I waited almost too late. I mean, actually, I committed a crime, and the Veterans Judicial Outreach got a hold of me, and he said, hey, we're going to help you, and got me some help. I'm saying I would tell people don't wait to that point. If if you come home and you can't have relationships with your family, the people that if you can't go back to your high school buddies and be able to sit down and drink a beer with them like they do, if you can't do that kind of stuff, or if you go to work and for some reason you're the one that's always having issues, go to the VA and tell them, man, there's something wrong with me. Give me some help. And and at least at that point, you've got tools to work with to uh, to be able to get through day to day. And but yeah, the number one thing for me is just don't wait till it's too late. Go get some help. And it's not weakness, believe me, because going to therapy and talking about stuff you don't want to talk about is not weak at all. it's
Not at all.
some of the hardest things I've had to do. I don't talk much about what I went through and things like that, and I don't honestly. I'm not sure that it really matters. If a person is in the military and has a traumatic experience, it isn't the experience that matters. It's how the experience affected them.
Absolutely.
And right. So don't go in saying, well, I didn't get shot, so I shouldn't be getting VA help, or I didn't see 50 people murdered or whatever. I don't deserve the help. If you came back different than when you went, go get some help.
Thank you.
That's right.
I appreciate that. Absolutely. And just like you said, we are taught to be strong and to be brave, to suck it up in a uniform, first responder, everything.
Right.
And there is a place and time for everything. There are some circumstances that we need to be strong, we need to be tough, we need to make it through, right? But also there are times that is just absolutely unnecessary. And like what you're saying that it actually takes more courage, takes more bravery, takes more strength to admit that, there is something wrong with this, that we need to seek out helps. And that actually takes more courage. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's all fear based. We're the fear is a fear of appearing weak. And that's an oxymoron, you know.
Absolutely.
Get rid of the fear. The acronym for fear is future events appear real. And
Mm.
we have this image of what we're going to look like if we have to ask for help. And reality is, the real strength in it is once we have help, then we're able to help somebody else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And not only that we can thrive, not only we can survive this, we also have opportunity to thrive and help other people, right?
Right. I mean, if I can turn my illness around from being something that's debilitating to turning it into a toolbox to help other people, then it becomes more valuable than anything else I could ever have.
And would you agree that is so empowering, not only in other people's life, but also in your own personal life?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean,
Sure.
like I said, I do the 12-step programs, AA and stuff like that. And that's what that's all about. You know, admitting your powerlessness becomes empowering. And
Sure.
the true help is by helping other people. You know, that's where
Absolutely.
the that's where sanity comes back,
Thank you.
when you're helping other people.
Yes. Yeah,
That's what I
definitely.
try to do.
Absolutely. And thank you for your service. And also, Matt, thank you. And for everybody who's watching, so I am pedaling from San Francisco to Boston to promote hope and inspirations in life while raising awareness for suicide and mental health struggles. And this is what we're doing, that we will be continue having these conversations with those people that have been impacted by mental health struggles and suicide, and what we all could do to help support and encourage each other, and also be that beacon that we're looking in the world, and be that change that we seek in the world.
Right.
So definitely stay tuned, and we'll have um, more opportunity to meet with people, and perhaps that we together can raise more awareness, that we can help each other out. And we all deserve amazing life, right? And
Absolutely.
this could be the one step putting us closer towards it. So thank you guys, appreciate it,
All
and
right.
feel free to make any comments, and we'll definitely get back to you and answer
I
some of the
can't wait to
comments.
meet you. I can't wait to meet with you, brother, and I can't wait to ride, man. You have no idea. I am so stoked about this. Like
I
I'm
might ride 6 blocks.
Hey, 6 blocks
yeah,
is six
that's
blocks. That's
That's six
perfect.
Yeah,
blocks for awareness,
yeah.
right?
I'm not going to make it to Boston.
That's okay.
No, I'm,
Do whatever.
I'm,
We all do
yeah,
whatever we can, right? There's no pressure.
absolutely.
It's not supposed to be stressful or pressure. It's whatever our heart feels like we could do, and that's what we do.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
Yes?
you doing that. Yeah,
All
yeah.
thank
right.
you.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you guys later, okay? Take care. Make
All
it
right.
a great
All right,
day.
brother. All right, buddy. You have a good night, man.